All right, woke up for some coffee and news this morning and saw that Autistic Self Advocacy Network, or ASAN, or ASAN as I pronounce it. I'm not sure if that's correct, but that's how it's in my head, so my apologies if not. They have released or put out a press release condemning the announcement of President's Make America Healthy Again commission and harmful ideas about autism and other disabilities. And this was put out yesterday, and I'm going to share some of this with you. All right. It says here, on February 13th, the president issued an executive order saying that the administration would be establishing a commission to attempt to lower the prevalence of autism and chronic health conditions in the United States. The proposed plan is full of attempts to research, thoroughly debunked science, states goals that can run counter to the actual actions taken by the administration, and spreads misinformation about autism. ASAN disapproves, and this part is in bold, ASAN disapproves of the proposed plan and will be joining efforts to push back against its harmful ideas as well as the harmful policies proposed by the current administration. The proposed plan refers to autism and other disabilities as a dire threat to the American people and our way of life. Wait a minute. Let me get this right. We autistics are now a threat to the American way of life and the American people? Of course, ASAN rejects that and says this is fundamentally inaccurate. Autistic people have always been here, including before America existed. We aren't new. The document cites the increase in autism diagnosis since the 80s as evidence of an epidemic. This ignores the fact that healthcare access has changed dramatically in 40 years, and it goes on. There's some of the history here with the multiple diagnostic disparities and lack of access, different intersections, women, adults, gender diverse people, and people of color are all, generally speaking, less likely to get a diagnosis. And it talks about, of course, the diagnosis today is different than what it was in 1980 in criteria, I think it means. And I'm going through this a bit swiftly. You can see the full press release on autisticadvocacy.org. And the order, it states here, also refers to autism as a disease. It's 2025, people. How are you still getting it wrong? Autism is not a disease. But what do we have any call of actions here? Let's see if there's something here for us. Oh, some of the details are so. Oh. But I'm going to pick up here. People with disabilities are not burdens. Painting disabled people as burdens is ableist and presents disabled people as a problem to be solved, rather than a group of people who deserve to be fully included in all aspects of society. This focus on preventing disability rather than providing supports and services to the many disabled Americans already living so they can access school, work, housing, healthcare, and other aspects are even more disturbing, coming from a president who has baselessly blamed people with disabilities and other marginalized groups for the recent airplane crash in Washington, D.C., and who allegedly said, in reference to his own disabled family member, that people like us should just die. the Trump administration is also currently pursuing policies to curtail the rights of people with disabilities. Trump's statements about disabled and minority members of America's workforce mirror his executive orders directing agencies, including the FAA, to discriminate against people with disabilities and other marginalized groups. And it just keeps going, and it gets worse and worse. And here we go to the part under the leadership of Trump, who has publicly claimed that he believes in the debunked claim that the V word causes autism, and RFK Jr. has founded one of these groups, claimed that none of them have ever been proven safe and effective, and that the schedule for them is dangerous. I'm telling you right now, as ASAN is telling you right now, as millions and billions of dollars dumped into research has told you, it does not come from vaccines. Shoot, I said the V word, didn't I? Well, we'll see if that gets through. Executive order also targets the healthcare that many people rely on directly. It order plans to focus on prevalence of and threat posed by prescriptions for a range of medications prescribed to individuals with ADHD, depression, anxiety, and many other conditions. Y'all, this is what? The medications for ADHD alone have been found to reduce the risk of premature death by nearly 1/5. 1/5. Rather than making America healthy, these attacks on essential medications directly threaten the health of many Americans, including myself, my family, and most of the people I know. Almost everybody I know. What the hell? This is hardly the first threat to Americans' health to come from this administration this past month, and absolutely right. Previous executive actions have threatened the ability of transgender and gender non-conforming people to access healthcare and attacked any mention or consideration of racial or gender equity across the government, including health equity research. Any effort to address chronic disease that refuses to acknowledge the health disparities we experience is doomed to fail before it's ever begun. All right, and the last paragraph says, the executive order says that there may be public hearings, meetings, roundtables, and similar events in an administration where health agencies are already freezing out stakeholders. This vague suggestion is inadequate. People with disabilities must be heard on issues that threaten to directly impact our access to healthcare and services. ASAN calls upon the administration to carry through on its responsibility to listen to the people and to listen to the disability community. All right. Found my spot. Listen to the disability community when we say that this research direction is not only wasteful, but will cause harm to countless people across the United States, as in, and our community must fight alongside the many other communities harmed by this administration to protect our civil rights, the programs that our communities depend on, and our community from these attacks. So this is much more complete on the press release itself. I just shared parts of it with you. You can find it in full on autistic advocacy.org.